Welcome to the final super over of the first test match from the Hagley Oval in Christchurch. We've got 6 talking points. We could have 12 very easily, but we'll just keep it to 1 super over. And let's start with the man of the match, Harmy. Brydon Carse, absolutely brilliant. 10 in the match, 10 for 106. His best innings performance, his best match haul. It's only his 3rd test match. But it could well be a career embedding performance.
Yeah, a light on moment, a Gus Atkinson summer, a coming of age for Brydon Carse. He's not young, he's other side of 20. He's had to work very, very hard to get in the England team, and then obviously from a fitness point of view, he's had to work on that. You mentioned that afterwards, but he's got a lot of qualities which you need in international cricket. He's got a big heart, good engine, hits the deck hard from a good release point, high pace, doesn't mind getting stuck in. I mean, him and Daryl Mitchell had one almighty ding-dong battle verbally, physically, and obviously with bat and ball, which was great to see. But I really, really enjoyed that. So, no, excellent from the Durham paceman. 10 wickets in the match, 30-odd runs. I think he's here to stay.
For those of you who didn't know, Jacob Bethel's father was also international. He played for Rhodesia before it became Zimbabwe, and he had a long first-class career himself in South Africa and for Northamptonshire. Okay, ball 2. The chosen one, Jacob Bethel, 37 not out from 50 balls.
50 off 37.
Sorry, 50 off 37. What did I say? 37 off 50?
Yeah.
50 off 37.
It's been a long 4 days, man.
It has been a long 4 days. Looking forward to that coffee. No, seriously, you said that he's not a number 3, and I mean, he's a bit too explosive for that, isn't it? But he still doesn't have 100 in any format, and people are saying, what's he doing there? How did he get there? But it was dazzling. He was as a one-man fireworks display.
He was brilliant to watch. I've got no doubt I had no doubt after watching him in the West Indies that he is an international cricketer. I had no doubt that he can perform at test level. He's got no hundreds, largely down to the fact he's been batting 6 and 7 for Warwickshire. He's probably in a position what he was today. If he'd been allowed to carry on today, he might have got one of the fastest hundreds that England had seen. So, no, I don't think he is a number 3. I still think he's somebody who, from that off-stump point of view, especially when the ball's moving around a bit, when you're working out where he's off-stump, that's just my initial thoughts. But he is an international top 6 batter, top 7 batter, depending on where the wicketkeeper fits in. He could be here to stay. Fingers crossed for him that Ben Stokes is fully fit to bowl. If he is, Jacob Bethel stays in the side for me. Ollie Pope keeps wicket for the 2 test matches that's come, because I want this kid to get, like Shoaib Bashir, I want him to get some experience in international cricket. I think he's a very, very special talent as Jacob Bethel. Where his best position is, I'm not so sure yet. All I know is he's good enough to play test match cricket. I want him in my team because he can play innings like that and take the game away from the opposition.
Okay, ball number 3. If Joe Root was South African, Brydon Carse would call him Oom, which is Afrikaans for uncle. 150 test matches, it's a sign of respect. 150 test matches, he's fielded at short leg, he's made naught in the first innings, and Ben Stokes made a point of pointing out how equitable his temperament is. He's made naught in his 150th test match, and he's walked into the change room, and you wouldn't know if you hadn't seen whether he'd made 100 or naught, and he did make naught, but he's come out in the second innings, hit 3 4s in his first over. He's raced to 23 off 15. I got that one right, didn't I?
I think so, just right, yeah.
23 there when the winning runs were scored, and he's just it's hard to describe his influence, so I'll leave it to you.
Well, from an influence point of view, he's godlike figure, has to be godlike figure. The aura about Joe Root should be enormous because of what he's done in the game, but the humbleness and the person that he is, I mean, the one thing I hear everybody talks about walking into that dressing room, the big character, larger life figure of Ben Stokes, and the all-time great player of Joe Root. They're the 2 that make it more comfortable for the young players than anybody else, and I think that is a great trait to have. You stand at short leg. He would have bowled if he needed to bowl. Yes, he got naught, but he's played 150 test matches. He's seen it all before. He walked out to bat with a kid who was in his early 20s at the other end making his debut. I mean, that's for Jacob Bethel is a great thing, to win the game and be there with Joe Root at the end. 150 test matches is unbelievable, and he's still got a long way to go, I think. I think he'll play 180, 190, and if he does that, he goes past Sachin Tendulkar's record, and that will make him probably he is already England's all-time great, possibly one of the greatest that's ever played the game.
Okay, ball number 4 is the captain, Ben Stokes. who didn't complete his 7th over, 6.3 overs, made light of it. I wonder whether he was making too light of it. Just said that it was a precaution, that he was just managing his workload. It had been a heavy week. He referred to bowling 20 overs. If he'd said it's a little bit of a concern, then I'd be less concerned with him saying that it's no concern.
Yeah, obviously there is obviously something in there. He said he hurt his back diving, and then he went chasing for one, which suggests to me it's not his hamstring, which is fine, which is great. We were worried about his hamstring. He was stretching his hamstring. One thing I will say about when you have a back injury or you maybe strap a nerve in the lower back, it affects your hamstrings. And he's just come off the back of a hamstring injury. But then 20 minutes later, he gets the ball going through extra cover, and he chased after it and he headed after it and picked it up, threw it in. That suggests to me there's nothing wrong with a hamstring, because the way he went after it, his hamstring goes there. And I mean, he lands up on a crumpled heap on the floor. So if it is just he's landed awkwardly on his back, he wasn't sure what's going on, they were ahead of the game, best thing to do is not to carry on, then fine, that's good. That is a good thing. That's him listening to his body. How many times have we said on commentary, stop bowling bounces and listen to your knee? Fingers crossed for England, because with Ben bowling, and even if he just bowls a small amount every now and again, 4 overs here or there, just to give the bowlers a rest, it keeps the balance of the side, it keeps Carse at 10, it keeps Bethel in the team, and for me that's a stronger unit with Ben bowling than it is when Ben's not bowling, because then you have to bring an extra bowler in and everybody has to move up one. I thought he had a great week, I really did. I thought he had a good week as a captain, batting. I thought he bowled really well as well. Everything's gone perfectly for Ben Stokes in this first Test match.
Okay, 5th ball is Daryl Mitchell and generally the New Zealand players. Wonderful reminder, wasn't there? I mean, it's a perfect setting, it's a glorious day, the sun's shining, but a wonderful reminder that as hard as you play it on the field, it's not a matter of life and death. And the New Zealand players have taken a beating here. They've punched themselves in the face with 8 catches going down, but They just are calm and at peace, and they were playing with their kids. Half the team have got little toddlers, and they were, you wouldn't have. We sit in the commentary box and talk about taking a beating and psychological scarring. It's nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah, it is nonsense. I thought Mitchell batted well. I mean, he had to bat the way he did. Sometimes he gets labelled as selfish. I think you had to bat the way he did, the way the wickets were going and flying around. He gave New Zealand something of respectability when it comes to getting the target to 3 figures. He had a ding-dong with Brydon Carse, which I said before was excellent, really good to watch. They dropped 8 catches. I mean, if both sides go unchanged next week, I still think it'll be a close contest. I mean, you look at the New Zealand side, the bowling attack. They've got a bowling attack who created 20 chances. They just took 12 of them. And that, for me, is what the difference between winning and losing this game. They go to Wellington, catch their catches. In Daryl Mitchell, they've got a player that loves playing against England. Again, England, I like England. They've got areas of concern, top of the order. Obviously, we haven't got a recognised wicketkeeper. I mean, their wicketkeeper's struggling a little bit for form. So all that into the mix was what makes it a really, really good series. And the players themselves, they've signed autographs around the ground. They've been at the end signing autographs to the punters. It's been a beautiful week for Test match cricket to be here at the Hagley Oval. The weather's been good, the cricket's been excellent, and the hospitality and the people have been fantastic.
Well, the 6th delivery is changes. So you've covered a lot of the potential ones. And New Zealand could make anything from 0 to 4. I mean, they could bring in Mitchell Santner, the specialist spinner. There might be question marks about Tim Southey. I mean, he's bowling slower than ever, which is fair enough because he's played Test cricket for 17 years. And what about England? I mean, Ben Stokes was asked about Ollie Robinson. You said they haven't got a specialist keeper. If Ollie Pope had claimed a few and hadn't looked as good, then as he did, then that could be a potential change. You've said about Ben Stokes. I mean, there's this whole thing about not changing a winning team, isn't there? But I think that's being revisited, that theory, because sometimes you do need to think about horses for courses. I don't know about Matt Potts. Chris Wokes has done enough, hasn't he? Yeah. Certainly to keep his place. So maybe no changes for England?
I wouldn't surprise me if England go no change. I think Pope, I would be encouraged that Pope can keep for the next 2 Test matches, leave Bethel at 3. Whether Ben's strong enough to be that 4th seamer, that would be a question. I mean, Bashir did a good job at a tough time in the game when the end wasn't a very good end for Seamers to bowl at, and he did his job for the team. So they all contributed. I mean, I'd like to get Potts in the team. How you get him in, I'm not so sure, because I think his style of bowling is suited over here in New Zealand conditions. But you're right, your winning team, you don't really want to change it if you can help it. I would go with the same team. From England's point of view, from New Zealand's point of view, I mean, Mitch Santner, do you want to bring a spinner into a smaller ground against England, the way England bat? Can he come in for Glenn Phillips, and then does that weaken the batting unit? Tim Southey, I mean, there's a lot made. Tim Southey got smashed at the end there, but at the end of the day, England had 100 to chase. They were going to smash. They smashed everybody. I would not be surprised if we get to Wellington and both sides get rolled out exactly the same.
And finally, we did some wine tasting on behalf of our thanks to our sponsors, New Zealand Tourism, at Tussock Hill on a couple of days before this Test match. And well done for enduring that. It wasn't really your thing. It was mine. But we are doing a beer tasting in Wellington. Are you up for that?
Oh yes, I'll not be spitting the beer out. The wine there very rarely got spitted out either. But no, I'm looking forward to going up to the beer tasting. I think that would be right up my street, Manners. I think we'll be doing some beer tasting in about 30 seconds when you do the closer. Because the minute I put this microphone down, I'm going to enjoy a beer after what I've witnessed over the last 4 days.
We'll see you all in Wellington.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.